What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I would like to welcome you all to another edition of Wayne's Perspective, where we operate in discipline, decency, integrity, and respect. And I'm coming through with another video just for you. Before I get started, I hope everyone is doing okay out there, taking every day one day at a time and living life the best way you know how. As for me, I'm doing pretty good over here on this Friday afternoon, no complaints. I'm also taking every day one day at a time and living life the best way I know how as well. And on that note, we're going to go ahead and get into today's video, which is going to be my thoughts on the new Rakim album that dropped today. If you recall, last month I did a video talking about the album's release. I also said that I was going to pre order the album, which I did as soon as that video was over. I also said that chances are I was going to come back and do a review of the album, and that's where we are today at work. I did bump the album on Spotify, and we're going to take a look and see what my thoughts are. And in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and get my screen shared for you all. All right. So here we are with the album, and you can also see some of the other stuff in my collection as well. But we're going to focus on the God's Network Rebirth album. Getting right into it, I think there are two major highlights on this album. The first highlight is Be Ill, and I'm sure most of you listening to this have already heard this one with Master Killer from the Wu-Tang Clan and Corrupt from the Dog Pound. I give this one a 4 out of 5. And my thoughts on this song are still pretty much the same. It's a dope song. It may seem like it's a clash of styles, but overall it works. You can tell that all three men who are in their 50s now, they age, but they're OGs now. So we can expect a different sound. But overall, it's them. And again, it's a highlight, it's the opening, and it's a real dope song. The next highlight would be another 4 out of 5 song. This is Pendulum Swing. This one has King Crooked, who is 1/4 of the former Slaughterhouse Group. You have Cannabis. I'm sure y'all all know him. You got Lotta Dark Man, who I haven't seen or heard from in a minute. And Chino XL. I didn't know that this guy was still rapping. This song was pretty good. You did get the impression that you were listening to a cipher. King Crooked came with a hungry, aggressive verse. Lotta Dark Man had a great verse. In fact, I think he almost stole the show here. As far as the other two, well, don't really have too much to say. I could have done without Chino XL's verse. He was just rapping way too fast, seemingly for the hell of it. And Cannabis, he sounded real different. I'm not sure if Cannabis is either in his late 40s or early 50s now, but he doesn't sound like Cannabis in his prime, that's for sure. He sounded more like Rod the Rugged Man, if you ask me. And that's no shade towards the Rugged Man. It's just that when I think of Cannabis's flow on this song, that's exactly who it sounded like. But overall, it was a good song, and keep this one in mind because I'm going to come to it later. The rest of the album was, well, what you heard is what you got. There's Love is the Message. I also gave this one 4 out of 5. This has Nipsey Hussle, rest in peace to him, Planet Asia, another underrated artist. And then you had Lewis King, Sally Green, and Kobe Honeycutt. Now, Kobe Honeycutt, that name sounds familiar. As far as Lewis King, this may be my first time hearing him. I'm not sure who Sally Green is. And Snoop was on this song. He didn't kick a verse, but he just had some brief words at the end. And another thing about this song is that Rakim, I don't even think Rakim was on this song. And even on the previous song, Pendulum Swing, the one that I just talked about, he was only on the hook. He didn't do a verse. And that seems to be a common thing on this album. He was nowhere to be found most of the time, which I thought was real odd, but I'm going to talk about that at the end. Another song is International with Coogee Rap, Joel Ortiz, another former member of Slaughterhouse, and Tri-State. What I said about this one was Ortiz really should have been on Pendulum Swing, and that would have been good with Rakim, King Crooked, and Joel Ortiz and Lotta Doc, man. That would have been a much more better song than what we got. And I also thought that International was a missed opportunity because that right there, with all due respect to Tri-State, this song should have been Rakim, Coogee Rap, Big Daddy Kane, and perhaps KRS-One. But instead, it was just a missed opportunity. And Rakim didn't even drop a verse. And I was left scratching my head like, why was he not on this song? And speaking of that, we get that on the next one that I want to talk about, God's Playground. This one had DMX, rest in peace to him, Fred the Godson, rest in peace to him. 38 Special, I believe he did some stuff with Coogee Rap not that long ago. And Skyzoo, I know who Skyzoo is, kind of a underrated artist. I got quite a few of his albums, not all of them, but I got most of them. This was a decent song, but nothing more, nothing less. And just think about what a Rakim and DMX song would have been like had X still been alive, but more importantly, had X been in his prime. That would have been a big deal at the time. But what we heard is what we got. And that's really all I have to say about the album. Everything else is decent at best, but nothing that I'm going to revisit. And as a matter of fact, now when I think about it, the only two songs that I'm going to revisit when I'm playing my Rakim playlist is Be Ill and Pendulum Swing. That's pretty much it. Will I ever revisit it in any other context after today? We shall see. But the way it's looking right now, most likely not. And that's going to bring me to my final thoughts on this album. Overall, in a word, interesting. I'll say that. I'll give it 3 stars, which is good, worth checking out, but I would not outright recommend this even to longtime Rakim fans. This was not the album that I was expecting. And I'm not sure what was happening because the album that I would have been expecting overall would have been something that has anywhere between 13 to 17 tracks. You'll have guest appearances from some of the same people that's on this album. You'll have production from Rakim himself. You also could have got Dre. You could have got Alchemist, Scram Jones, Premier, maybe RZA. You could have got Havoc. You definitely could have got Hit Boy. I mean, the possibilities are endless, but instead, what we got was a glorified EP. It plays like that more so than an actual album. And while the production was solid, and I believe that Rakim did most of it, if not all of it, Rakim was not on some of the songs, and really, that's still a puzzling thing to me. And it felt like he was showcasing the guests more than himself, which is appreciated in some aspects. But like I said, this was not the Rakim album that I was anticipating, and it does come off more like an EP than anything else. So those are my thoughts on that. It's decent, but nothing that I'm going to find myself revisiting anytime soon outside of the 2 songs that I was talking about. And on that note, those are my thoughts on the album. So I'm curious to know what y'all think. If you're a longtime Rakim fan and you check this album out, let me know what you think, and we'll go from there. So on that note, if you like what you heard and you're ready to become part of Team Discipline, go ahead and hit that like button and drop some comments if you're feeling the content. And last but not least, hit that subscribe button along with the bell so you're notified when I drop new videos. And until next time, my people, take care of yourselves. I'll catch you on the next video.